All right, so this is the examples video for page 2 of your percent math pack. So page 2 is almost exactly the same as page 1. We're going to start with number 1 where it says, express the shaded part of each figure as a percent. So again, the part that's colored in. And if you notice, on questions 1 to 4, they're already split into 100. So all you have to do is figure out how many of the tiny little squares are colored in. However many are colored in, that's how much your percent is. So if you take a look at question number 1, you know that there are 100 little squares in there, and that each one of the columns of those squares is 10. And how many columns are colored in? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know that there are 40 of the little squares colored in out of 100. So that's 40%. If you take a look at number 5, number 5 is not split into 100 little pieces. It's split into 4. So you're going to have to start with a fraction, denominator of 4, and then change it into a fraction with a denominator of 100. So I've got 2 over 4 because there are 2 of those parts colored in out of a total of 4. And then of course, I need to then change it so that I have a denominator of 100. So using those math facts, those 100 math facts that I hope you have burned into your brain by now, we've got 4 times something is 100, which we know 4 times 25 is 100. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 4 times 25 is 100. 2 times 25 is 50. And so I know that for number 5, 50% is colored in. And we're skipping all the way over to number 11 now. If you take a look at number 11 says what percent of each figure in questions 5 to 10 is not shaded. So I want you to think about it this way. When you did 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10, you figured out which one was colored in. That's how much percent you figured out. For number 11, you're going to go back and look at the same pictures, but you're going to figure out which one's not colored in. So for an example, we're going to do number 6. Let's do number 6. So if you look at number 6, we have to figure out how much is not colored in. So number 11, we're using number 6 as the example. So if you look, it's split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And how many are not colored in? You've got 2. So I've got 2 over 5, and then the same process applies. You have to figure out what is the equivalent fraction for 2 over 5 with a denominator of 100. So you're going back to those math facts, those 100 math facts. 5 times something is 100. Well, 5 times 20 is 100. So whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 5 times 20 is 100. 2 times 20 is 40. So now I've got 40%. So this is where number 11 asks you to look at the pictures that you just looked at and figure out which part is not shaded. So for that, that's number 6, 40% is not shaded, it's not colored in. All right, we're going to skip on down to number 16 now. So for number 16, they are giving you a fraction. In this case, 3 over 20. And then they need you to figure out, okay, what's that going to be as an equivalent fraction with 100 on the bottom? So 3 over 20 equals something over 100, which equals a percent. So using those math facts that we know, 20 times something is 100. We know that 20 times 5 is 100. So 3 times 5 is going to be our new numerator and our new percentage. So 3 times 5 is 15, which means 3 over 20 is 15%. All right, and then if you take a look at number 22, number 22, they give you a fraction, but this time you need to, on your own, change it to an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100, and then write the percentage. So in this case, I have 7 over 10. I still need a denominator of 100. So how do I change 10 into 100? I have to times by 10. And whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 10 times 10 is 100. 7 times 10 is 70, which means 70%. So for number 22, all the way to number 30, that's how you're going to do those questions. You start with a fraction, you change it to an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100, and then you'll find the percentage. Now last but not least, we're going to talk about number 31. Number 31, and all the way to number 36, it says write each fraction in lowest terms. So what you have to do before you can find the equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100, you have to find lowest terms first. And that's of course because the fractions that they're going to give you aren't easily changed into 100. They're not part of our 100 math facts. So you're going to have to change them to lowest terms first, and then you can find your math facts. So let's do an example. 31. I have 12 over 15. I need to find lowest terms first because 15 is not part of my 100 math facts. So I can't use 15 to change it to an equivalent fraction with 100 as my denominator. So, lowest terms first. What number can we divide into 12 and 15 to make them smaller? I can divide them both by 3. So that turns into 4 over 5. Now, my 100 math facts, I can have 5, and I can change it into 100. So that's why I needed to take this fraction, change it to lowest terms first, before I could change it to an equivalent fraction with 100 as my denominator. So according to my 100 math facts, 5 times 20 is 100. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 4 times 20 is 80. So 80 is my percent. What this means is for number 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, you have to first do lowest terms. And only once you have lowest terms can you change it into an equivalent fraction with 100 on the bottom. Of course, once you have 100 on the bottom, then you'll be able to find your percent no problem. Don't forget to ask for help if you need it.